بسم الله وبه بدينا وعبدنا خير وشكينا حبل رب حبل دينا اللهم صل على محمد كل ما ذكر ذاكر وصل على محمد كل ما غفل كل غافل. In discussion on the Seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we've tonight reached the Battle of Badr. The Battle of Badr is of such importance in Islam. The Quran not only mentions it, but the Quran calls the Battle of Badr Yawm al-Furqan, that day when Islam and Kufr was clearly distinguished, that day when it was going to be the make or break of Islam. The background to it was that Abū Sufyān, obviously not yet a Muslim at the time, the chief of the Quraysh, the chief of Makkah at the time, he confiscates all the wealth of the Muhājirūn which they had left behind. The houses, the gold, the silver, whatever was there, they took it all. And he went with the intention that they were going to sell it in Syria and buy weapons, and with this they're going to attack Madīnah. So news of this reached Madīnah Munawwarah, reached Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered an expedition that when the caravan of Abū Sufyān was to go to Damascus, that they would attack it and capture, which is the wealth of the Muslims in any case. And of course, even if it wasn't their wealth, but as a defensive measure, they're going to be using this to attack Madinah. But Abū Sufyān was a competent first commander, and he managed to get his caravan past the Muslims, and he reached Damascus and he sold the wealth of the Muslims, and he made all the preparations for having the capital now to attack the Muslims. So now, the caravans now, remember geography, Makkah is right down the south, Damascus is right to the north, and in between is Madinah. So going from Makkah to Damascus, you have to pass, if not Madinah itself, but at least the area of Madinah. So the Muslims had missed him the first time, but now they would do it, try and capture him on his return journey from Damascus to back to Makkah. When Abū Sufyān reached Zarqa in Jordan, he already reached news that there was movement of the Muslims, which obviously you would suspect in any case. And then it was on the 12th of Ramadan, the second year of Hijrah. Remember, I mentioned yesterday, the first year of the Hijrah, there was still no compulsory fast of Ramadan. This Ramadan, the ayat had revealed, Ramadan had now the fast of Ramadan had now become compulsory upon the Muslims. So Muslims had a fasting state, so 12th Ramadan, and with the intention of capturing this caravan, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells the Sahaba who are with him, numbering about 313, that we are going to capture this caravan for this reason. They are not preparing for a full-scale battle, and even if they were, the bulk of them, the Muhājirūn, are starving people who never buy armor and helmets, they do not, and weapons, they're not even, so they have proper clothing to completely cover themselves. But they go with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and now news starts. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sends out his scouts. The Quraysh also have their scouts. Now information is now being gathered from on both sides. Abū Sufyān is encamped at Badr, which has wells there, and he now knows the Muslims are coming to capture the caravan. And news goes back to Makkah. So the Quraysh, they raise an army. They know the Muslims are ill-equipped, few in number. So they raise an army triple in number, 1,000. Muslims are just over 300. And the Quraysh army is fully equipped, fully armed, armor, weapons, everything. They don't have anything unlike the Muslims. So they are marching now to confront the Muslims and save the caravan. Abū Sufyān, instead of meeting up with his army as he was instructed by the Quraysh, he says, no, to save this is very important, and so he goes and diverts. He immediately disencamps from Badr, and he makes his way by another route to Makkah. So the Quraysh army hears of this, that the caravan has been saved and there's no longer need for a fight. But Abu Jahl and company, they insist, no, we've got this army, this is now the time that we're going to destroy the Muslims once and for all. And in fact, that could in fact have happened. Just before the Muslims reach Badr, but Abū Sufyān has already left. Now they know that instead of facing a caravan of merchants which could have easily been captured, now they're actually going to face a much stronger and superior army if they continue towards Badr, which are going to confront them. That is a problem in and by itself. But also, when the Anṣār had pledged to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ʿAqabah, the pledge was that if the kuffar attack Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Madinah, they will defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with their lives. They will defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as they defend their own children. It was not part of the agreement that they would go out and actually engage in a battle so far out of Madinah. And jihad was not compulsory upon the Anṣār, only upon the Muhājirūn. And they already given so much for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so they felt shy to ask them directly. So now they're nearing Badr, and the Anṣār had the right to return now, because now it's a battle, it's not just a raid upon this caravan. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says to the Muhājirūn that, are you ready for this battle to continue to Badr? And Abu Bakr al-Anhu replies on behalf of the Muhājirūn that yes, they are ready. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turns away and repeats his question. Umar al-Anhu says yes. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turns away and repeats his question. Saʿd bin Muʿāẓ al-Anhu, chief of the Anṣār, he gets up and he says, Ya Rasulullah, you say with your tongue, Muhājirūn, but I have this impression that due to your modesty, you're actually speaking to us, the Anṣār, and you're too modest to ask us directly. But no, Ya Rasulullah, that whoever your friends are, they are our friends. Whoever your enemies are, they are our enemies. Ya Rasulullah, whatever wealth we have, it is for you to spend. And what you leave behind, we prefer that what you spend and what you keep for you, that is more beloved unto us than what you leave for us behind. You tell us to march to the ends of the earth, we will march to the ends of the earth. You tell us to jump into the sea, we will jump into the sea, Ya Rasulullah. That's how they accepted the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And a clear indication of the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With David Aswad al-Kindi radiallahu anhu, he stands up and he said, Ya Rasulullah, we can't go down that incident of Musa alayhi salam, but in an incident which the Quran mentions, the companions of Musa alayhi salam told Musa alayhi salam, Idhab anta wa rabbuka faqatila inna hauna qa'idun. You and your Allah go and fight, we will sit here and behind. That's what how the companions of Musa alayhi salam addressed their Nabi. Miqdad al-Anhu said, we don't address our Nabi like that. We will fight in your front, we will fight behind you, we will fight on your right, we will fight on your left. They reach Badr the night before it rained, it is muddy. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spends that night, the night of the 17th of Ramadan, in that mud, making dua. Allahumma in tuhlak hadhihi al-fiyah falan ta'bad abada. Oh Allah, if this small group is destroyed today, then never again will you be worshipped on the face of the earth, because that was Yawm al-Furqan. Had the Muslims been defeated that day, had Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam been killed on that day, I would not be a Muslim today. Let me remember that. Let me have gratitude for the sacrifice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muhājirūn and the Anṣār. The status of the Sahaba of Badr is such. Every Sahabi is not equal. They are all in different stages. The lowest ranking Sahabi is higher than the greatest wali than the rest of the Ummah put together. But among the Sahaba themselves, they are also in different gradations. And those Sahaba who fought at Badr are of the highest status than those who are not blessed with that opportunity. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is recorded to say that Allah says unto you that do as you please from this day, you have already been forgiven. Not that they're going to intentionally sin, but for example, the incident of Hatib radiallahu anhu, who through his weakness at that moment, he gave the secret of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam away before the battle, before the conquest of Makkah. It was not an intentional rebellion against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was his weak interpretation. But whatever he did, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forgave at that moment, and even before he fought at Badr, and Allah has said that whatever they were going to do, they've already been forgiven. Some people speak so disrespectfully of Sahaba, especially this incident of Hatib radiallahu anhu. But believe me, in that moment of weakness of Hatib radiallahu anhu, he was more beloved to Allah than what you will ever be at your most pious in your whole life ever, times a million. The two armies engage. Before that, miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he points out exactly, yeah, this kafir will die, yeah, that kafir will die. And it was exactly as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. When can a word of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ever be doubted? Now the balance of Islam, the night before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us, we turn our attention to Allah completely, fully engaged in dua, sitting there in that mud. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was making dua continuously to Allah. In the morning, when the time came for battle, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't tell Sahaba, no, you not go and fight, I'm going to sit here and continue my dua. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took his sword. Now is the time for physical action with your reliance upon Allah. That is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that your heart is upon Allah, but you have to do physically what you have to. Whereas today we like to go to one extreme or the other extreme. Now my reliance is complete upon Allah, I don't have to do. Or I do, and not the thought towards the greatness of Allah in your action. The help of Allah comes, the angels also fight in this battle. The arch enemy of Islam, Abu Jahl, he is killed. This is a battle of Badr. Is so important. We could have discussed the whole so many days just on battle of Badr, but time, so much to discuss. In short, through the help of Allah, the Muslims win, and Islam is saved. And in closure, the incredible akhlaq, character, generosity of the early Muslims, in particular that of the Anṣār. They had come for a little raid. They didn't expect to be engaged for an expedition of this magnitude. They had only so little food with them, and now they captured so many prisoners. They had with them 70 prisoners. There were only 313 themselves, minus 14 who became shaheed at the Battle of Badr. The Muslims, these are kafirs who wanted to kill them. The Muslims gave their food for the kafirs to eat as they marched back to Madīnah, and the Muslims marched back hungry to Madīnah. And remember, what was it? The month of Ramadan. They had gone out of fasting. Such is the character of those whom Allah blessed to be the companions of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi.